all got hushed up. Shame, shame, now it's time to speak up. Once upon a calm June day, to tell this we should all begin sailing on the sunny land, a U.S. flag upon our ship that day. Hey, hey. And this is what took place that day, what politicians will not say. Let us not forget the men of the USS Liberty and what they did that day. They were unarmed, fresh from the morning calm, all hands on deck alarm. From out of heaven came the bombs. Let army, cannon, rockets, napalm too, torpedoes tried to sink the crew. A monkey in an admiral suit, they tried to keep us from the truth. So Google up and you will see the USS Liberty, the story of a fine young man when politicians failed us back then. Shame, shame. Living for America, dying for America. Never forget, never forget the brave men of the Liberty, standing for America, dying for America. Never forget. Never forget. 6, 8, 67. 6, 8, 67. 6, 8, 67. What would our forefathers do if they knew? Well, you now know. Let's go.
My name is Commander David Lewis. I was a research officer on board the USS Liberty at the time of the Israeli attack. As research officer, I had several other supply types, radioman and electronics technician. My total complement was 195 out of the crew of 295. The other 100 people on board the ship were the ship drivers who did a superb job. Unfortunately, there were so few of them, I volunteered my officers to stand deck watch with them. We learned how to control the ship as well. During the attack, I was blessed with a temporary bulkhead that wrapped itself around me and covered me with a 30-year supply of burnt Navy paint. Other than losing a couple eardrums, I was blessed. Virtually everybody within 20-25 feet of me was killed instantly. After I was brought up on deck, the next day the helicopters came to carry us to America. wrapped from head to toe, put in a basket, and hauled into the helicopter. And being totally covered, the crewman, the corpsman that was taking care of me, didn't know which end was up, and he sat on my face the entire trip. And all I could think of was what an ignominious way to die after having survived the torpedo. I was blue when they took me out, but I made it work. After they lanced my eyelids open so I could see, I was ordered to report to Rear Admiral Geist, who was the Carrier Division commander for the Saratoga and the America. He apparently had pangs of conscience for having had to do what he was ordered to do. And he told me he wanted somebody to know what had really happened, but that he swore me to secrecy for the duration of his life. What he told me was that he launched aircraft to come to our defense, and Robert McNamara recalled him. We were in a nuclear weapons drill at the time, and he thought some idiot in Washington suspected that he had launched nuclear weapons to come to the assistance of the Americans. So he reconfigured a flight of aircraft that were incapable of carrying nuclear weapons, and he relaunched it, and again notified via Credicom the White House and McNamara. And McNamara again ordered the aircraft recalled. Admiral Geist challenged the order. He said, Americans are being killed and we need to go to their assistance. At that point, Lyndon Johnson came on the line. He said, I don't give a damn if the ship sinks and all the Americans are killed. I will not embarrass my allies. Well, that was 3 hours before he's notified who the allies were.
As we have done every year on June 8th at noon at Arlington Cemetery, we're here to remember, mourn, and honor the 34 USS crewmen, 31 sailors, 2 Marines, and an NSA civilian who were killed on June 8, 1967 during the Arab-Israeli War. In addition, let's not forget those of the Liberty crew that have since passed, especially our skipper, Captain William McGonigal, recipient of the Medal of Honor, who was buried up the hill. We did not have the ability to fight back, as the Liberty was not a man of war, but an intelligence ship. Our attackers knew that, and the Liberty was safe target practice. When all was said and done, America indicated that the attack was accidental, and our attackers were given a free pass by President Lyndon Baines Johnson. We will not go quietly into the night. America, are you listening to us? You gave us honesty and integrity to be assigned to a highly classified intelligence ship. You taught us to determine what is right and wrong. You gave us the passion and the will to complete our mission despite any adversity. Yet the Navy, at the behest of the White House, abandoned us on the fire. Did you hear us, America? Yes, America, you abandoned us. Why? Our country sent us into wartime conditions and refused our request for a destroyer escort, and then prevented 6 fleet planes from coming to our aid, and then ordered us never to talk about the attack to anyone. The gag order worked from 1967 until Jim Ennis's book was published in 1979. The American public had no idea what happened to us. Our adversaries never realized our love of country would compel us to keep on fighting for the truth to be known about the cowardly attack killing 34. America, you taught us that we should be remiss if we did not stand up to this terrible wrong. Yes, America, the crew of the USS Liberty has been abandoned. The Navy Court of Inquiry turned out to be fraudulent, as indicated by Captain Ward Boston, the Legal Navy Inquiry Counsel, to a sworn affidavit, and others. What happened to the Code of Military Justice? The conclusion is that 291 sailors and 2 Marines were denied justice by interference from the White House. That is judicial interference at the highest level. In seeking justice in 2005, the USS Liberty Veterans Association filed a formal war crimes report to the Pentagon, and they refused to look into our claim whatsoever because the aforementioned Navy Court of Inquiry completed the formal investigation, and a new investigation was not needed. Are you getting the picture? Hear us, America, as our Congress has not and will not investigate this attack, even though our Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, mandates, and I quote, "The House of Representatives shall define and punish pirates and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations." The Liberty crew was awarded 1 Medal of Honor, 2 Navy Crosses, 12 Silver Stars, 26 Bronze Stars, 208 Purple Hearts, and the Presidential Unit Citation, and more. The U.S. Liberty is the most decorated naval ship for a single engagement, and we are diminished and curtailed by the power structure from giving the USS Liberty the proper place and prestige warranted for this high honor in history. To wit, the Navy cannot name a new ship USS Liberty for fear of offending certain people. Littoral Combat Ship, LCS-2, was supposed to be named USS Liberty to augment other LCSs, USS Freedom, USS Independence. That lasted about 2 months, and the Liberty name was dropped. Soon, the Navy will launch a USS Lyndon Baines Johnson destroyer. This is the same man that gave our attackers a free pass for killing 34 Americans in the attempted murder of 294. I have faith in the collective American soul. As a believer in prayer, I know our God will not let us down. Our numbers are growing at leaps and bounds. When our truth and justice comes, some folks are going to be very upset. Please wake up, America, soon. I pray God will bless America for using us to realize the tragedy that is taking place. Voltaire stated, "To learn who rules over you, simply find out who you're not allowed to criticize." Eileen Fleming, front and center. Okay, Eileen.
I knew nothing about the USS Liberty until 2007 when I met my first Liberty veteran, Philip Francis Torney, who said, "It was God that kept the Liberty afloat. I knew in a flash I would do more than just listen to him."
Up their blood, and it all got hushed up. Shame, shame, now it's time to speak up.
So bold as to say my prayer. Please help us and provide us the grace and wisdom to do your will, to work for the return of greater honesty, justice, and humanity to our America. Amen.
I invite, I believe, our single solitary Marine to please stand for the playing of the Marine Corps.
My name is Joy Ameti. My husband, Americo Ameti, of 47 years, was one of the survivors from the USS Liberty attack on June 8, 1967. One of my contributions to helping out this crew is the Missing Man Table in honor of those 34 men that were killed that day. As you can see, there is a single red rose on this table. It reminds us of the life of each of the missing. There is also a red ribbon tied to the vase, a symbol of our continued determination to account for what happened to those sailors that day. There is also a slice of lemon on the bread plate to remind us of the bitter fate of those killed on that very sad day on a foreign sea. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those families who still seek answers. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass inverted to symbolize their inability to share in any of the evening's festivities. The chair is empty, they are missing, and we raise our glasses to toast the missing of the USS Liberty. Those 34 that were killed that day are also honored in flags on the stand. Each one of the missing has their name on the flag for us to remember. A very sad day for not only the families, but for our nation.
You stopped in Hillsborough on the way back ourselves. Oh yeah, picking up my little one.
Hi, I'm Larry Bowen, CTR2. I was on the USS Liberty, AGTR 5, back on June 8th, 1967. This year, on June 8th, 2017, I was elected to the Board of Directors of the Liberty Veterans Association and was elected the Vice President of that esteemed organization. Also, in January of this year, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress syndrome. For the American people, I hope someday our Congress will eventually take it upon themselves to fully investigate the truth of what happened to the USS Liberty on June 8th, 1967, and conduct a formal court of inquiry into the attack on the USS Liberty and tell the American public the truth about that attack and bring the true story to the American people. Thank you, and thank the crew of the American USS Liberty, and bring honor to the crew and our fallen shipmates. God bless America.
Yeah.
I'm Bryce Lockwood. I retired as a gunnery sergeant from the United States Marine Corps in 1972. In between watches in Bremerhaven, Germany, I'd had the day watch and I got to go in for the mid watch that night. And I'm trying to sleep and I wake up with this awful nightmare of and the guilt feeling of not being able to do anything about my friend Ronnie Campbell. And I just burst into tears and I'm sitting here, just can't control myself and I'm sobbing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And my wife came in and put her arm around me and she said, "Honey, what's wrong?" I'm having nightmares and I'm just sobbing and crying, and she just put her arm around me and was stroking my head and it's okay, shh, honey, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. And really, I mean, she just a country girl, small town country girl, but she was doing the right thing. We've been married 57 years now. I'm sorry.
Okay, my name is Philip F. Turney. I'm a crew member, a former crew member of the USS Liberty, AGTR-5. The A stands for auxiliary, G stands for geographical, T stands for research, 5 stands for the 5th class of the ship. And I was fortunate enough to get aboard that ship in 1965. I'm a 20-year-old kid, 3rd class petty officer. Now I'm in charge of this repair party. So we did what we were trained. By the way, on that ship, all we did was train. We did that continuously, night and day, sometimes twice a day. I mean, the old man, he'd wake up, ding, 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 and we're out of our racks going to repair, going to general quarters. When the attack started, I just left the forward gun mount on the starboard side. The sound power phones weren't working. And I was told by the gunner's mate that the phones weren't working. Napalm is a weapon that was developed during the Vietnam War, and the purpose of it was to maim and kill you, and it would literally suck all the air out of the area. It would take the oxygen away, and you would get, I mean, it was like a firestorm of like 80-mile-an-hour winds, and the heat that was coming off of it. And as I said before, I had 2 CO2 canisters. I tried to put out the fire, and I mean, it wasn't working. I mean, I wasn't getting anywhere. I couldn't use a fire hose because all the fire hoses were shot up. Now, the moral of this story is, and which is so terrible, is that our government knew we were under attack within 15 minutes of it, and they left us out there all to die. Help never did come to us until 18 hours later. USS America, USS Davis, USS Massey. USS America sent over helicopters. We would get all the most seriously wounded off. In fact, I helped put Dave Lewis on a helicopter, and they carried him off. I didn't know if he was going to make it or not. He was all burnt up, his eyes shut. Later I found out, Dave told me they had to lance his eyes to get him, you know, where he could at least see. Thank God he could see. And it continued that way, you know, trying to save lives, trying to help people. Everybody got together, and it was, as I said before, there was 2 different crews, but at that day, at that moment, we became one crew. We were all together. The spooks, the spies, were all together with us, ship's company. So it was a turning point.
I'm Richard Larry Weaver. I'm here at the 50th reunion of the deliberate attack of the USS Liberty by Israel. And I was a seaman bosun mate on the Liberty. and I was on the fantail with Fred, and we were trapped back there, and thought he was going to jump ship, so I grabbed a hold of him and threw him in the offset and got on top of him each straight. And then I'd come out and see which way the jets were coming in. They were coming from the bow, about 10 degrees port, another one 10 degrees starboard, and they were making big circles. That was their attack. Anyway, I come out, and I don't care who they are, they're liars, that they say there's no flag. Well, that flag actually bothered me because I was trying to see which direction the jets were coming, and it was in the way. I told Fred, he's coming up the middle, and I grabbed Fred and I got him to go behind this motor for the laundry, and it was a tight fit for him. There's only room enough for one. So I screamed at him, and he promised me he'd stay there. I looked around for a place to take cover, and there was only a little boat cleat, ship cleat about that big, where the rope comes aboard and ties onto the big cylinder to tie up the ship. So I got in fetal position, made myself as small as I could, and it's funny how things like this happen, but I looked up, and they put the holiday flag up because they kept shooting the other ones down. And just that quick, I looked at the stars and stripes, and I thought, how beautiful it was. Me standing out with the blue sky behind it. And then I closed my eyes and waited for hell's horror, and I didn't have to wait long. I was blown up near about 5 feet. It felt like I was hit with like 440 volts of electricity through my body. And I come down, I was a telephone talker, I had the earphones and my helmet on, and when I come down this side of my face, and it broke my nose, which is incidental compared to what happened, and it just took my helmet right off and took my earphones. And I had something here that I found out later. There was a guy that was ordered to get back there and get on his telephone, be a telephone talker. I was talking at the reunion. He said he went back there, he saw my helmet and the earphones. He said that it was just so full of blood, he couldn't put them on. He had to use his dungaree shirt to wipe the blood off. And that was just amazing to run into somebody like that. And but anyhow, my right arm and my right leg was useless. I pried myself up on my left, and I was sitting. And I remember saying this too. Sometimes I remember to say it. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm hit 3 times." 3 times I said that. And I looked down, and this big hole. It was not a small, big. All of my ab muscles were blown out, and 2.5 foot of my colon was blown out. And all around the edge, it was a phosphorus fire from the munitions, the rocket. And human flesh really smells when it's burning. I remember I had so much blood everywhere, I was bleeding. I thought, that's a good thing because I used my blood to put the fire out. Yeah, so I just, moved the blood around and put it out. And I yelled to Fred, I said, "Fred, I'm hit." And as I saved Fred's life, he saved mine, because if I wouldn't have saved his, I wouldn't be here. And he came out and helped me get to sick bay. When I got in sick bay, Dr. Kiefer started putting, they put me up on the table, and Dr. Kiefer started working on me. Wonderful man. And he was taking scissors and clamping off, because I was just bleeding. Hard to believe how much you can bleed. And he got the bleeding stopped, and he was going to sew them shut, just as a triage thing, and take care of me later. But he just got that done, and then a rocket came through from where I was laying to the left side of sick bay, and shrapnel struck Doc Keeper right in the abdomen here. I don't know how many pieces he had. because I wasn't in a good position. And as I said many times, I was probably in a really high state of shock because there was, I mean, I received 140 shrapnel wounds. And the reason I can state that with accuracy is I asked, when I came out of the coma in America, I asked Dr. Flynn, who did 2 life-saving operations on that ship in America, and I said, how do you know I had 140 shrapnel wounds? He said, I had to dress every damn one of them. He said, I counted them. I know what you had. I said, okay. Well, I just want to be sure I'm not just throwing a number out there, you know. And so anyhow, after the doc put a life jacket on, put some 4x4s and a life jacket on to stop his bleeding, what was bad, he turned around, and where the doc was working on me, operating on me, he, I was just bleeding all over the place again, like he didn't even touch me. I was just squirting on the floor, on the metal tray, and anyhow, he started working, and he scissored him, tied him off, and then after he tied him off, then he said to me, he said, we're going to put you on the deck. Is that okay? I said, yes, sure. And he stuffed some, like a cylinder of gauze, I guess, in there to stop up any small bleeders until he could look at me later. And I was laying on the floor, and that metal tray I told you about had a lip on it, you know, about maybe an inch, inch and a half high. And he got these big brown paper towels. There was a roll. And 2 corpsmen, they took it and were going to get ready for the next injured so they could work on them. And they didn't, nobody came in while I was there, but you know, they wanted to prep, and surely they knew somebody, there were going to be more people. And they went and wiped that table off, and when they did, and they hit the end of the lip on the table, my blood just splattered all over the wall. And I'm laying there, and you're 21 years old, and you can't help to think that was part of me. And that burns in your brain, along with a lot of other things. And anyhow, after that, then said about prepare for a torpedo run the starboard side. And I've been through enough drills in the Navy that I actually was good at it. My times were always good, getting the GQ and all that. And I took pride in that. And I took pride in everything I did in the Navy. And because I served my country well. And that's the way I felt. And I said, Fred, if you call a man ship, I said, you get me out of here and get me the life raft. And I said, put a life jacket on me. And he did. And then the strap comes down low on our life jacket. The dock keeper's life jacket, you know, was a bulkier looking, older style jacket. But when he inflated the CO2s of mine, it just pulled that strap on my back. That's the first time I realized how badly I was wounded in my back. And I had unbelievable amount of shrapnel near my spinal cord. I mean, Dr. Flynn told me there was one piece that was about 1/16 of an inch from severing it. He said, I don't know how in the hell it didn't, that you're able, because they had to learn to walk in America, and I can only do 3 steps. But he was checking out my motor skills. I know that's what he was doing. Now you sort of understand the type of damage all my shipmates and myself have from being deserted and given a death sentence by President Johnson. With Johnson and Washington, because they're involved ever since that time, not just completely ignoring us, that keeps the damage alive inside, because you still are not able to express the truth. They won't let us exercise our constitutional right to testify. And I want to put this out there for the youth today. Remember what I'm saying, that if Washington deserted the USS Liberty, who had no firepower, and we had all kind of firepower around us with carriers and everything else. The one Captain Tully, he was unbelievable with the damage, because he cried to me at one reunion. He had so much firepower and he couldn't use it to help us. I don't know. It would be a terrible feeling. The youth out there, before you raise your hand, when you raise your hand with a commitment to the service, you realize right then and there, the way they treated the USS Liberty, so you know the capabilities of Washington, that you are hereby expendable. They could care less. You're just out there with a gun and bullets and fanning the wars and making the ones in Washington rich. That's what it's about. It's greed. And I've said this many times before, Washington is the biggest legal mafia operating in the world today. And if they do it to us, they can do it to you. So how do you feel about serving in the service where you know at any time, if it's convenient, they'll do away with you. Your families they'll be suffering the rest of their lives, but not for the freedom of America. It's for the freedom for Washington to fill their back pockets. That's what it's about. I mean, I'm patriotic, and I feel like I always have been. But be careful with your patriotism that you don't get killed for it. And I don't know what else to say except get help out there. Because I'm a prime example, because I'm really actually, might not seem like it because I'm emotional, and I'm still in pain yet. But if I can do it, you can do it. And it's just not fair to live this kind of life and still be ignored. And I'll die. By my last breath, I'll be dying to fight that we can just, all we want to do is express and have justice for the liberty. So America, why don't you, maybe you can help us. Numbers, seem to sway things along. Political stuff, forget that. With Israel and all that, forget that. This is a separate entity. Most of those guys that did this are dead. So to say, oh, we don't want to hurt Israel's feelings, what about my feelings? What about my body? What about the rest of my shipmates? What about their feelings? At least America, have the compassion that you don't ignore us too.
Don Pagler, interview, take 2.
Hi, I've been asked why I do what I do, and etc. And I learned that it's basically therapy for me, and I want to share the story of our ship, and it's been 50 years. I came to the conclusion after post-traumatic stress disorder therapy that I needed to turn loose of it once I tell the story. And so I realized that it's up to the listener to do whatever they want to do with it. Each person will have his own reaction to the story. I just want our true story put into history. The trouble is nobody in this country is going to make any decent decisions if they don't get a clear picture of what history really was. So.
Resolution number 40, subject USS Liberty, origin Washington. Resolved that the American Legion calls upon the 115th United States Congress to publicly, impartially, and thoroughly investigate the attack on the USS Liberty and its aftermath, and to commence its investigation before the end of 2017, the 50th anniversary of the year of the attack.
America, dying for America. Never forget the brave men of the liberty, standing for America, dying for America. Never forget. Never forget. 8, 6 to 7, 6, 8, 6 to 7, 6, 8, 6 to 7. What would our forefathers do if they knew? Well, you now know. Let's go.